I would say things on the podcast I probably had no business saying, but I think all of that is a testament to just the growth and the evolution of an individual. Like some of us been in front of these microphones for a long time. I've been doing radio for 27 years. And so I've been doing Breakfast Club for 15, right? I've been doing my podcast, Brilliant Idiots, for 13. So you've been watching, the evolution of a person, throughout that whole period of time. So my path is different. I can't speak for what everybody else does and how everybody else, approaches it. But once again, I go back to what I just said. Make sure you have an intention. Like if my intention at one point might have just been to entertain. My intention at one point might have just been to get engagement. But as Malcom X said, the person who controls the media controls the minds of the masses. So as you realize that, and you realize the responsibility that comes with these platforms, and as you just grow as a person, your ideologies and the things that you discuss on those platforms will change.
When did you discover, or when did you realize, after having all these platforms, that you had to get into ownership?
I think when this business presented a lot of us with the opportunity to actually own. For me, I started off as an intern in 1998 at a radio station. So when you start off as an intern at a radio station, then you just naturally become a talent. Like you become a worker, you become an employee. But I think that over the years, when you have things like podcasts, where you can own your own podcast, or you're creating your own content, and it's going up, on YouTube or on different platforms online, it just shapes everybody's mindset different to know that, okay, not only can we, maybe be on the radio, but we can own our own podcast, we can own our own intellectual property, we can own this content, that we're creating. And when you start online, right, like when you start on the internet or you start with a podcast, all of these major companies, they'll start to see the audience that you're building, they'll start to see the numbers that you're doing, and then when they approach you, with different deals and different situations, the conversation is different. They're not looking at you to say, hey, I just want to hire you as a talent. They're looking at you to say, I want to hire you as a partner. And so I think it's because of this new era that we're in that allows us to even have these conversations about ownership. Because man, when I started 27 years ago in radio, there was no radio station to own. There was no podcast of your own to own. So now it's like when you have those numbers and you have that audience, they want to, approach you in a different way. When I started doing the Breakfast Club 15 years ago, I was just a talent. But over the years, a few contracts later, because of what I've been able to build outside of Breakfast Club, they approach me in a different way. And that's why we launched 5 years ago, we launched a platform called the Black Effect Podcast Network. And I'm majority owner of it with iHeart. And we're partnered with a lot of great podcasts, like the 85 South Show, like All the Smoke, like Drink Champs, like Decisions. And being partnered with them enables us to launch, new podcasts, like the latest with Lauren LaRosa, or, Carefully Reckless with Jess Hilarious, or, all of the different new podcasts that we have under that umbrella. But it's because of the work that I put in as a talent and what I was able to create outside of radio that I was able to even do a deal with iHeart like that 5 years ago.
See, I watched